Hello YouTube, this is Mike with PhoneJunkie.org. Here we have a iPhone 5 versus the HTC Droid DNA. Now, ever since the debut of the iPhone, it's always been one of the top competitors in the smartphone industry. And as we all know, whenever you're on top, there's always people gunning for you. And here we have HTC's flagship device, or I should say one of HTC's flagship device, is the HTC Droid DNA. Now, this is the first carrier in the US to offer a full 1080p screen resolution. It is a 5-inch display, so it definitely does look pretty nice. First, I'm going to start off with the design and look. The iPhone 5 is hands down the best looking iPhone that has ever been released. It is 7.6 millimeters thick and weighs in at 3.95 ounces. So it's definitely skinny and light and hard to notice in your pocket. You get a 4-inch display. As with the HTC Droid DNA, the HTC Droid DNA is noticeably thicker at 9.7 millimeters thick and weighs in at 4.9 ounces with a 5-inch display. Now, I am going to have to give this title to the iPhone 5 just because of the buttons, the outside buttons and the dedicated home screen buttons. Now, with the Droid DNA, you have your power button, which is on the top here. But it actually, with the 5-inch display, it's actually kind of hard to reach the top there. You actually have to slide your hand up some and press it. It's a little bit flush with the top bezel, so it makes it kind of hard to notice if you pushed it or not. So you actually get double presses every now and then. You have the volume rockers located on the right side along a red grill here, and it's flush with it as well. And it takes some pushing around to actually notice if you're pushing the right one, and half the time you're pushing the down when you're meaning to push the up, and vice versa. But the HTC Droid DNA is definitely a very sexy, appealing device. With the red aluminum grille on the side, premium matte finish. It definitely feels really nice in the hands. But with the HTC DNA, you do get 2 notification LED lights. You get one in the back here, as well as one in the front. And a part of HTC's design here is almost like a curved back here. It goes a little bit of a curve, then it goes flat, and then it curves down again. And you'll see the same design with the HTC 8X. It actually fits real comfortably in the hands, the rounded edges. So with a 5-inch display, is definitely still not that big of a width. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the displays here. Now, I do have a screen protector on the iPhone 5 right now. This is my personal device. This is the AT&T version, but I'm not going to be doing any speed relevance between the carriers, specifically due to this is the AT&T one, and they do not have LTE where I'm at right now, as where this is a Verizon, and they do have LTE here. So that kind of wouldn't be fair, would it? But anyhow, the Verizon HTC Droid DNA, it features a 1080p 1080 by 1920 pixels with 441 pixels per inch, which is definitely higher than the iPhone 5 at 640 by 1136 pixels with 326 pixels per inch. Now, I have spent a great amount of time browsing websites with both of these devices, and let me tell you, the HTC DNA definitely gives you the better experience. The iPhone 5, even though it's a 4-inch screen, still is a little bit small compared to smartphones that are out today. It is a little bit better, but it's still pretty small. Over here you have a 5-inch display, and it just gives a better web browsing experience, a lot better. Both have pinch to zoom, which work very well. So if we go ahead and Let's go ahead and refresh this and refresh them both to the same thing. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this picture here. Now the displays are both all the way up. The brightness is all the way up on both of these. So as you can see, the HTC DNA, you do get a little bit better color resolution. Colors seem more real than on the iPhone 5. Both these devices handle full websites extremely well. I didn't notice any problems with either one. The HTC Droid DNA did get a few pop-ups that I was not able to get out of, but I was just able to cancel out the page and reload it in another window, and it worked just as well. Now here I went ahead and Googled some images of a tiger just to show you the quality difference between the two. Now, even with when I use my girlfriend's iPhone 5, which doesn't have a screen protector, the HTC DNA still displays better color. The blacks look black, whites look white. Everything looks real. I would definitely have to say this is a device that has one of the best displays on the market right now. So here's the brightness all the way down about halfway. Just to show you the differences there. Next thing I like to talk about is the user interface. iOS 6 versus Android 4.1 Jelly Bean with a Sense 4 Plus overlay. Now this is definitely going to be the most argued. iOS 6 has had the same basic boring layout ever since its existence, while Sense 4 Plus gives the user more personalization options than iOS will ever see. iOS 6 does allow you to change the background. So with iOS 6 you can change the background here as well as the lock screen. So you do get a little bit, but here with Sense 4 Plus it allows you to change the theme, widgets, scenes, clocks, keyboards, the whole 9 yards. Sense 4 Plus also provides better effects for you. So as you can see, when I'm scrolling over, it's almost like a box effect, like you're switching to the next side there. Apple has always had the boring sliding effect. You just go to the next screen. Not too big of a fan here. But iOS 6 does offer better simplicity for the user. It's a simple, you just go to your home screen, you go to what you need. You don't have to go any other stuff. Android offers that simplicity as well. Sense 4 Plus here, you do have the frequent visits, downloaded apps that you've downloaded from the App Store. Then you have the All button. And with iOS, you just have apps here on one screen. You can put them in folders. If you wish, you can move them around. And that's about it. With Sense 4 Plus and Jelly Bean, you can change the apps. You can remove what you want. You could bring widgets here. So you have the widgets. And while we're talking about changing things, let's go ahead and go into the keyboard here. Sense 4 Plus is definitely upgraded their keyboard from the original Sense 4. And it's a little bit wider, a little bit changes, but it actually feels a lot better, responds better. And since it's Android, if you don't like it, you can always just download a new one from the App Store. With iOS, the keyboard is definitely really well. They've always had a good keyboard. You can type pretty fast on there. It's always been one of my favorites. But if this is something that you do not like, you cannot change it. Another customization thing you could do with Sense 4 Plus is you can change the background of the text messaging there to whatever you like, just to give it a little bit more options. Here you're just stuck with the plain color here. Now another basic of the thing is here is with iOS, if you want to use the multitasking, you just double click and you have your apps down here. Here on Jelly Bean and Sense 4 Plus, you just hit this button right here and it pops up your recent apps in a little 3D effect here. So a little bit nicer looking, better for the user. I definitely recommend this here. Now I'm not going to declare a winner between the Android Jelly Bean 4.1 with the Sense 4 Plus overlay compared to iOS, because this just comes down to user preference. You also have Siri here, as well as Google Now here. I won't get into that too much, but I definitely will have a video separate for that with Siri versus Google Now. But I can definitely tell you Google Now has definitely stepped up and is up there to take on Siri, and it's definitely a hard choice. Sense 4 Plus is definitely the more graphically intensive of the two, so it definitely needs more power to, process everything that you're doing, more RAM and all that. So HTC did put a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon S4 Pro CPU, which is one of the best processors available today. iPhone 5 is more of a simpler operating system, so it doesn't use as much, but it's running a dual-core Apple A6 processor, and I do apologize, I believe it's a 1.2 or 1.3 gigahertz. I do apologize if I'm wrong, but it's running a dual core, and you're going to get 1 gigs of RAM on the iPhone 5, whereas on the HTC DNA you're going to get 2 gigs of RAM. Now with either one, I have not noticed any lag, but I do notice the HTC DNA being a little bit snappier, responds better, and it, to me, ultimately all around faster. It loads up the applications a lot faster. I can scroll faster, as where the iOS still takes some time to load up. And you can see it's just a slower. See how that's a lot faster, and so to me, I would definitely have to say that the processing power, everything, even though it's a quad core versus dual core, and it's almost double. I mean, it has to go to the HTC DNA. It's definitely a lot faster. It handles a lot better. There's no lag whatsoever. It loads really quick, and it's one of the best on the market. One good thing about having a quad-core processor is when you like to play games on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into gaming next. I'm going to go over this one game here called Dragon Slayer. One better thing, obviously, about the HTC DNA is it has a 5-inch screen. So game playing is a lot better for the user. As well, it has Beats audio. So sound's going to sound a lot better for you. And you're going to have to be able to hear it a lot better. Alright. So let's go to. I've never played this game. It's my first time playing it. I just downloaded a game that was graphically intensive, and that was on both devices. So I guess that's what you do. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Okay, you don't move. But either how, you get the picture. Gameplay looks really nice. You see the colors. And this is definitely an upgrade from where Android used to be at. Android's gaming used to be pretty bad. And iOS used to be pretty much the best at gaming. But now you can definitely see they're stepping up. With the 1080p resolution, there's nothing you can really argue with about this. Alright, so here we go for the iPhone 5. As you can definitely see, the game looks a little bit more cheaper, a little bit more fake. The HTC DNA definitely made it seem a lot more lifelike and real. I just like the animation better on the HTC DNA than I do on the iPhone 5. And these two are the exactly same game here. Alright. Next, we're going to go into video playback.
American? New York. Yeah, New York. I hook up. Welcome to Moscow.
Alright, so towards the end, you saw how I first turned off the Droid DNA so you could hear the sound coming from the iPhone 5. And then I turned down the sound on the iPhone 5 so then you could just hear it come from the Droid DNA. Now they're both really good with video playback, but I'm going to have to give it to the Droid DNA just because of the 1080p screen as well as the 5-inch display. It just blows the iPhone 5 out of the water there. Category I'm not going to get too big into, but I'm going to just go over it briefly, is the camera apps. I do believe the iPhone 5 is far superior in is the camera. Now to me, the iPhone 5 takes better pictures than the Droid DNA. And that's just because of the all-around, no matter low light, sunlight, dim, whatever you're in, you're going to take good pictures with this. This, you're going to take excellent quality pictures as well, but then some of the different settings offer you a better and lower quality picture. So that's the reason why I'm given to this. And I will upload a separate video on the iPhone 5 versus the HTC DNA. Alright, battery life on both devices are about the same. The HTC Droid DNA did last longer and did not consume as much battery as the iPhone 5 during standby time. Now this is also given into the account that AT&T does not have LTE here, so it was turned off on the iPhone 5 while the DNA did have the LTE turned on. So battery life is one of the big concerns with people that I'm reading in the forums, just because the DNA does have a 5-inch display, quad-core LTE, and they believe that the 2020 milliamp hour battery is just not big enough, where the iPhone has I believe it's 1440 milliamp hour battery. But you're basically going to get about a full 8-hour workday out of the both, and that's with moderate to heavy use. Now you do turn that use down a little bit, have your settings right, you can get through a full day here. Now, since it is since it's cloudy outside today, I really can't do an outside brightness test of the screen, but I will do that in my camera testing video. I will upload that as well. But my final decision, I would have to say the HTC DNA is a better device, or would win this fight, and that comes down to, again, to the 5-inch display, the 1080p resolution, and the customization options with the HTC Sense 4 Plus. iPhone is still a great device. In my opinion, the iPhone is more reliable, and the simplicity of it makes it a good phone. But with this, you're able to customize the phone more. The user experience is better. So please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you think the iPhone 5 is still a better phone? Do you think this HTC Droid DNA is a better phone? Or do you think that, or would you go with something like this with the Note 2? As you can see, the Droid DNA is still substantially smaller than the Galaxy Note 2. So maybe we should put these two up to a fight and see what everybody thinks there. Alright guys, Well, let me know, you know, what videos you guys want. This was a video request, so I did do this for somebody. I really hope you appreciate it. And like I said before, just leave a comment below and make sure you show your support and subscribe.